Hello YouTube! In today's little slideshow video, how you want to call it, I'm gonna talk about the way I paint my Chaos Dwarf army for the 3.0 version, which means the third time that I'm painting a lot of those figures. My old collection is mostly being stripped as we speak, and well, to that end, it's a bit a story about my style, which is not that fantastic, but it's more or less swift, and it gives a more or less good tabletop result, so it's good enough for me. It's a style that I developed about 20 years ago by the Kevin Dallimore pictures I saw for a Dark Africa range in the Wargames Illustrated, so it's a bit of drawing lines basically. Coat after coat, 3 layers on the figure, but I made a switch in the second layer, being influenced by the Gundam style games on the PlayStation, who are usually done in a cell shading art style. So the thing is, I paint each surface and color in a lighter tone, but instead of putting the second layer to the edges, I do it in the center, so it gives a bit of reversed effect. It gives an average manner of painting time, like I said, but it also allows for a large heap of figures being done a color at a time, and for some simpler or smaller models like 6mm or 1/4 scale Gachapon, I can do it with just 2 layers instead of 3 to give it a decent tabletop looking force. But for this example, I went with the Resin Prophet, which you can see the finished video a while ago on this channel. It was produced by Norba Miniatures in Spain. It's a 3D printed resin model, and after the needed cleaning preparations, it's first undercoated with black. Pretty simple, standard technique, especially as the army is mostly in darker colors. And when I use metal figures, I do also a black ink after this to well, run into the nooks and crannies, because yeah, metal. The first layer is then painted on. This one can be permitted to a bit messy, as any cover-ups will be done in the second layer. It consists mostly of the darker variant of the color that I want the figure to become in the end. So the second layer is basically the most important one, as not only will it be the color that one sees mostly when viewing the figure on the table, but it's also the layer that's mostly dominant, and it will touch up any small misses from the first layer of painting, while the third layer of painting is basically a highlight for each and every area and provides the needed visual contrast. A color a bit lighter as such is then used for this. For example, the blues is a dark blue from Vallejo. Then I do a imperial blue over it, and I highlight it with a magical blue, all from Vallejo. So that makes a painted figure that only needs some basing, and to do that some fine decoration sand is added. Yeah, it's pink, and I got this from my nemesis like 25 years ago or something, I think, and the ice cream box is still half, so I can base still a lot of figures in no longer perfumed. It used to be perfumed, but the scent went off with all the years. Basing sand. So that's a more traditional approach that I use then on them, because I paint my Chaos Dwarfs with a lava style basis, and for the darker gray I use Amsterdam. That's a Talon's acrylic paint. It's the big tubes that you find in hobby stores. In my case, I'm using the Peña Gris. So that's a very dark gray, because, well, if I have to do that with Vallejo and it soaks into the sand, I'm gonna spend millions on a dark gray little paint bottle, so we're not doing that. After that, it's a slight dry brush with a Vallejo cold gray, and then a 4-layer color for the lava effect. So that's a dark red, a normal red, an orange, and a yellow. A bit the same as the flames, as you can see on this model, on the top of his hammer and in his hand. So yeah, it's all pretty basic stuff. No advanced painting techniques or golden demon style winnings on this one, but it gives an army pretty swiftly, looks good on the tabletop, so yeah, that's good enough for me. So back in the days when I used this technique, which was long before contrast paints, and you already got a lot of points if your armor was just basically painted when you go to an event. But yeah, this let's say on a score of 20, I averaged between 12 and 15 points every time, so that was a good soft score for a tournament score. Nowadays those scores no longer count in pure results, but back then, yeah, well, it was a basically a basic win extra to my force. So yeah, that was good enough for me. So that's how I'm painting my Chaos Dwarf army, or repainting my Chaos Dwarf army, and expanding on it, because I'm first painting a lot of new units while the other ones are still soaking in thinner, because that's a lot of varnish and paint that has to come off on the good old metals. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching and listening, and see you next time. Bye bye.